All right, we want to get you outside the courthouse there in Wilmington, Delaware, where our Catherine Herridge has an update on the status of the plea deal agreement between President Biden's son and his legal team. Catherine, what's new?
Okay, so we've just concluded about 3 hours in the courthouse behind me, and the judge has said that for now she is not going to accept the plea agreement for the president's son. She is deferring it. She needs more information about the misdemeanor tax charges and the agreement on the tax charges, as well as this diversion program for a felony gun charge. She needs more information before she can decide whether to accept the plea agreement. I want to quote what the judge told the parties. She said, quote, "You are telling me to rubber stamp this agreement. You are telling me this is form over substance." On the diversion agreement for the gun charge, she has significant concerns that elements of that agreement may be, in her words, unconstitutional. At the close, she asked Hunter Biden's attorney, Chris Clark, whether his client still wanted to plead not guilty as she works out some of these remaining issues in the agreement. And he said, no, my client now pleads not guilty. Whoa. So just for some context, we entered this hearing earlier today where he said he was willing to plead guilty under the deal that had been negotiated between his attorney and the U.S. attorney in Delaware. And after 3 hours of litigating this deal, a deal the judge says she has significant concerns about, he has now entered a plea of not guilty.
Catherine, that is a significant development. Hunter Biden now pleading not guilty. Talk to us a little bit more about the judge. You said the judge had significant concerns that part of the deal, particularly in respect to the gun charge, might be unconstitutional. Can you explain that?
Yes. Okay, so just kind of to set the table for folks at home, this agreement had one component, which was tax crimes, and the other, which was on a gun charge. The gun charge was going to be dealt with under a diversion program. In that diversion program, if Hunter Biden adhered to the terms for 2 years, so no additional crimes, no substance abuse, then that would be dismissed. There's a provision in that agreement that says if there's a breach by Hunter Biden, it will be brought to a judge to determine if a breach has occurred, because that would open the doors to future prosecution. And the judge said in this case, well, wait a minute. Deciding on charges is a function of the executive branch, not the judicial branch. That's not my position. You're including me here. So I'm not sure that this is constitutional as it stands. Her second concern about the diversion agreement is that there's a provision that says if there's a breach or no breach, he's shielded from other prosecution in the future, and that relates to tax crimes. So her concern was, why do we have this tax element mixed in with the gun charge? So concerns it was unconstitutional and this kind of commingling of the statutes and the agreement. But the bottom line is that she is deferring. She's not accepting or rejecting. She's asked both of the parties to provide her with additional information. And for now, the president's son has pleaded not guilty to those charges.
Major, major developments there. Catherine Herridge, you've been in the courtroom and bringing us all the updates. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We want to bring in now CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, both the prosecutors and the defense had tried to hammer together a deal. We just heard from Catherine some of the reasons why the judge rejected it. She went into greater detail about the gun charge. I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit more about these tax crimes.
Absolutely. Well, they basically center on failure to pay taxes. And I think that sounds like it will be and I'm loath to use the word easy, but the easiest part of this, in the sense that I think what the judge wanted to do overall today is push pause. 3 hours is a very long time for this type of hearing. 2 different recesses is fairly unusual. And so if in fact, both sides do come back together, and if in fact there is a plea deal, I think the most likely situation is that there would be a plea deal, at least on the tax charges. Again, because even though none of this, as we've seen from the last few hours, is straightforward, that is the most straightforward. Now, I think when it comes to the gun charges, as Catherine laid out very quickly, there are two questions in the judge's mind. One, why are they basically looped in with the tax charges here? And two, will it go into effect in the right way? If there is, in fact, a violation of the terms, will the right body be the one to make that determination, either a judge or the prosecutors? And so I think that this judge is going to take a look and see what she thinks is the most appropriate, legally speaking. I don't expect that any future plea deal in the short term would include those potential charges relating to foreign lobbying. I think that sounds to me like it's the trickiest part of this, the fact that this has been a 5-year investigation, and the attorney who, again, was appointed by former President Trump has said that investigation is ongoing. If it's ongoing after 5 years, that indicates to me that that is the trickiest part of this.